Look at a calendar and you'll find something that shouldn't be there. Years are real, they're one lap around the sun. Days are real, one spin of the earth. Months are roughly a lunar cycle, near enough. But the week matches nothing. Nothing in the sky takes 7 days to do anything. It doesn't divide evenly into a month or into a year, so every 12 months it slides and your birthday lands on a different day. It is the one unit of time we appear to have simply made up. And yet almost every country on Earth runs on it, and has for something like 2,000 years. It wasn't always like this, and the reason it stuck is stranger than the reason it started. Go back to Babylon, around 3,000 years ago, and look up with their eyes. No telescopes, just the naked sky, and in it, 7 objects that move against the fixed stars: the sun, the moon, and 5 wandering points of light: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Everything else in the sky sits still relative to its neighbors, year after year. Those 7 don't. 7 things that move, so 7 is a number with weight to it, and Babylonian astronomers built it into their sky watching and their record keeping. Then there's the other 7, arriving from a different direction entirely. The Hebrew Sabbath, a day of rest every 7th day, written into Genesis as the pattern of creation itself. 6 days of work, 1 of rest, repeating regardless of season or moon. That's the crucial part, and it's easy to miss. The Sabbath cycle isn't anchored to anything astronomical. It just counts. 7, then 7 again, forever, no matter what the sky is doing. Those 2 ideas met in the Roman Empire, and the collision is where our week actually comes from. Romans had run a market cycle of 8 days for centuries, but the Greek-Egyptian planetary week, the one built on those 7 moving lights, spread through the empire alongside astrology, which was enormously fashionable. Each day was assigned a planet, and each planet a god. By the 2nd century, the 7-day planetary week was in common use, and in 321, the Emperor Constantine made the sun's day an official day of rest. That's the moment it locks in. Astronomy from Babylon, rest day rhythm from Judaism, imperial law from Rome, fused into one repeating unit, which explains the names, once you know where to look, because the names are a map of who conquered whom. Romance languages kept the Roman gods almost untouched. In French, Tuesday is Mardi, the day of Mars. Wednesday is Mercredi, Mercury. Thursday, Jeudi, is Jupiter. Friday, Vendredi, is Venus. English got the same week, but filtered through Germanic and Norse speakers who swapped in their own gods for the Roman ones with the closest job description. So Tuesday is Tuesday, Tyr, a war god standing in for Mars. Wednesday is Woden's Day, Odin, matched to Mercury because both were associated with travel and the movement of the dead, and, depending which Roman you asked, eloquence. Thursday belongs to Thor, who takes Jupiter's slot because both are the thunder and sky authority of their pantheon. Friday is Frigg's Day, or possibly Freya's, standing in for Venus. Sunday and Monday stayed literal, the sun and the moon. And Saturday is the odd one out, the single day where the Norse substitution never happened and the Roman name survived intact, Saturn's Day. Nobody is quite sure why that one slipped through. There's a whole English week of Norse gods with one Roman planet sitting stubbornly at the end of it. Now, the part that makes the week genuinely interesting. People have tried to kill it, and it won't die. The most serious attempt came out of revolutionary France, not Napoleon, despite how often he gets the credit. In 1793, the Republic scrapped the calendar entirely and rebuilt it on tens because the whole revolution was besotted with decimals. 12 months of exactly 30 days, each split into 3 10-day weeks called decades. New day names essentially numbered. 5 spare days at the end of the year to make the arithmetic work. It was elegant, rational, and quietly brutal, because a 10-day week means you rest one day in 10 instead of 1 in 7. Workers noticed. They also noticed it deleted Sunday, which was rather the point. It ran for about 12 years, and Napoleon is the one who ended it, abolishing the whole thing from the start of 1806 and handing the 7-day week back. France wasn't the last to try. The Soviet Union had a go in 1929 for a reason that sounds almost reasonable. If nobody rests on the same day, the factories never stop. So they issued workers coloured cards, split them into 5 groups, and gave each group a different rest day on a rolling 5-day cycle. continuous production, no idle machinery, and as a bonus, no shared religious rest day. It also meant your day off didn't line up with your spouse's, or your friends', or your children's. Families stopped being able to be families on the same afternoon. The Soviets stretched it to 6 days, then gave up and restored the 7-day week in 1940. And here is the detail that shows just how stubborn this thing is. In 1582, Europe changed calendars. The Julian calendar had drifted about 10 days out of step with the seasons, so Pope Gregory's fix simply deleted them. In the countries that adopted it immediately, the 4th of October was followed by the 15th, 10 days that never existed. But look at what happened to the weekdays. The 4th was a Thursday and the 15th was a Friday. The date jumped 10 days and the week didn't skip a beat. They deleted a chunk of the calendar and carefully carried the weekday count across the gap, unbroken. As far as anyone can tell, that count has never been interrupted. Empires have fallen, calendars have been redesigned, countries switched over centuries apart and spent years disagreeing about the date. And through all of it, the cycle of 7 just kept ticking. It may be the longest continuously running count in human history, and it survives because it is the one part of the calendar that isn't tied to the sky. You can argue about where a year begins. You cannot really argue about what comes after Tuesday. Even so, we haven't managed to agree on all of it. Ask when the week starts and you'll get 2 answers. Much of the world and the international standard says Monday. The United States, Canada, Japan, and others say Sunday, which is why their calendars print it in the first column. 2,000 years in, we still can't fully settle which end of the thing we're holding. Both experiments failed for the same reason, and it isn't sentiment about the Bible. A week is only useful if everyone is using the same one. It's a coordination device, the thing that lets you say, "See you Thursday" to someone you've never met and have them turn up. Change it in one country and you've simply broken your ability to agree on a date with everyone outside your borders, and with your own neighbors if they didn't switch. The 7-day week survives, not because 7 is special, but because it went first and everyone else had already built their lives on top of it, which is a familiar shape, if you think about it. It's the same reason we're still typing on a keyboard laid out for mechanical typewriters, and still running railways on a track width inherited from horse-drawn wagonways. Not the best answer, just the answer that arrived early enough that switching later costs more than living with it. So the week isn't a fact about the universe. It's a 2,000-year-old handshake between Babylonian astronomers, Jewish scribes, and Roman emperors that we've all agreed to keep honoring because the alternative is nobody knowing when to meet. Which makes you wonder what else in your day feels like a law of nature, but is really just the first version that ever caught on.